opening gates to other dimensions. These great destructions would have caused the last major glaciation, 11 to 12,000 million years ago, and would have covered the Antarctic with ice. The Antarctic was a continent that was going through the last period of Lemuria, the period of Mu. This was the greatest advancement to the original black race on our planet. This was the greatest advancement of the original black race on our planet, after the intervention of the Guardians and Sentinels. The Lemurians had then to be rescued and taken out of there. They were taken to Mesoamerica in what is now Mexico, and that's how the Olmec civilization emerges. The last archaeological discoveries made in the state of Guerrero, on the Pacific coast of Mexico, demonstrate the Olmec culture was thousands of years older than we originally supposed, and that would explain their Negro facial features. The Olmecs also appear in the stelas in great stone sculptures driving spaceships, something that later we will see repeated in the Maya civilization itself. To counteract the nefarious effect of all these negative influences, 32 beings from 32 different civilizations were sent to Earth and landed in the desert of Gobi in Mongolia and founded the mythical Shambhala, the capital of the Dagartha kingdom of the extraterrestrial world. A web of tunnels and galleries was established, where large deposits and files of knowledge of the lost history of humanity reposed, in hopes that someday men of goodwill could have access to such knowledge. We could all awaken our consciousness and remember the mission that has been assigned to us in the cosmic plan. Learn to love and teach others to love. Love in its supreme exaltation, in its essence. After the disaster that supposedly destroyed Atlantis in the last period of Lemuria, the extraterrestrials, the Guardians and Sentinels, decided to accelerate the process of humanity, and that's how they concentrated their efforts in Mesopotamia, where the Sumeria project emerged. Sumer, or Sumeria, translates the country of spaceships, and it is there where the first pyramids, the ziggurats, are constructed. They were not astronomical observation towers or temples. They were towers of ascent and descent for spaceships, just like today we have been able to interpret from the clay tablets written in ideographic symbols and cuneiform that have survived to our days. In the Sumerian era, small city-states emerged where the extraterrestrials decided to work with large collectives of people, giving them instruction and knowledge, but discouraging dependency. The Sumerian civilization achieved a great level of development, and the Sumerians themselves elected the Patesios, the Elsios, as representatives of the people to maintain fluent communication with the An, the goddesses of the sky, who would visit from time to time. During each of their visits, a fluid exchange of information and knowledge took place. During each of their visits, a fluid exchange of information and knowledge took place. Back then, the planetary quarantine imposed by the Guardians and Sentinels was not that rigid, allowing not only Ans, the gods of the sky, to arrive here with good intentions to further the cosmic plan, but also the Anunnaki, the sons of the prince, reptile-looking beings connected to Satan and its satanic forces, who from time to time would act in our world in a very negative fashion, trying to conduce the Sumerians to fight against each other. Great wars were incited, and they encouraged very violent developments of peoples like the Sacarios, who ended up exterminating and destroying the Sumerians. The Sumerian project, working on a wide collective group of people, failed, because finally, at the end, dependencies had been created anyway. They were paying too much attention to the return of the Ans. The extraterrestrials, the Guardians and the Sentinels, and the planetary instructors decided therefore to work with an elite group of individuals. They chose for this the Egyptian priestess, heirs of the knowledge of Atlantis, survivors of the Atlantia, who came to Egypt with extraterrestrial knowledge because there were extraterrestrial colonies in Egypt. Survivors of Sumeria settled there, so all that sum of knowledge and information was going to emerge as the great nation of Egypt. When still the rest of humanity was in the Neolithic age, the great Egyptian civilization appears. The great achievements of a civilization never occur at the beginning or the end, but at the height and splendor of development. The greatest development, extension and expansion of Egypt was between the 18th, 19th, and 20th dynasty of the new empire. Nevertheless, in that era, there isn't anything similar to the pyramids, which are of the 3rd and 4th dynasty, especially the pyramids of Cheops, Khephren, and Cerinos, the most famous, which date from the 4th dynasty. For these to be from the old empire, the most ancient Egyptian period, is impossible. This demonstrates that there is a connection with these beings from the sky and with the remaining Atlantis. The Egyptian priestess, after receiving this superior knowledge, were supposed to retransmit it to the people, sharing it in a way that was comprehensible, in a way it could be understood. Nevertheless, with time, the priestess, instead of sharing it with others, kept it for themselves, for self-education, and when initiating others, they didn't share all they knew, maybe because they considered that the others weren't worthy, or because they didn't want them to replace them in their work. The knowledge consequently started to become diluted, and it reached a point when knowledge was lost. Egypt fell under the influence of these terrifying dark forces that tried to get humanity to forget. So after failing in working with a wide group of people and also with an elite of individuals, it was decided to work with one individual and to program his or her genetics. By chance, the chosen one was Abraham, psychic since birth. He used to easily have telepathic communication with these beings. And what is more, he was such an intelligent man with such broad judgment that he accepted at that time, when there were 1,000 commonly accepted gods, the idea of one single god, which was a very advanced concept. The idea became to program Abraham's line of descendants, and you can see very clearly that all through the sacred history there is evidence of serious genetic manipulations or interventions of these beings. For example, Abraham was not able to have children with Sarah. Nevertheless, with the help of those from above, they finally had Isaac. Isaac married Rebekah, but Rebekah was not able to have children either. Nevertheless, with the Lord's help, she conceived Jacob and Esau. Jacob married his cousin Leah, and then Rachel, the one who he really loved, but she was sterile too. But with the help of these beings from other worlds, she finally conceived Joseph, he of the premonitory dreams, he of the talent of prophecy, the one who interpreted the Pharaoh's dreams. Samson was the son of sterile parents, Samuel the same. Mary the Virgin was the daughter of Joachim and Anna. They were not able to have children. With intervention from the heavens, Mary is born, creating conditions for the birth of Jesus Christ, who was not an extraterrestrial, but an extraordinary terrestrial. The New Testament tells the story of Jesus. Jesus had been a person, a human being on the earth, who through multiple reincarnations on this planet had reached a high evolutionary level. He did not need to reincarnate. However, out of love for humanity, he accepted his destiny to come back. He prepared himself for his 3 years of public life in such a way that a cosmic symbiosis took place in him, a transmigration.